What's good, YouTube? That 192 here, back again, once again. And today, people, I am proud to announce that I am your coach for the newly drafted Tucson Terrakions. And if you guys don't know, Tucson Terrakions is our team in the newly formed United Championship League, or the UCL. The past 2 days over on Twitch, we've been hosting a draft for Season 1. And if you guys don't know about the UCL or how the draft works or anything like that, link to the announcement video will be included in the description. And before anybody freaks out or stresses or anything, there is no purple hoodie for this video. I think this is the first video ever uploaded on the site. Oh, no, actually, no, I take that back. I think I've done miniature updates and stuff like that before that didn't have the purple hoodie on. So, I don't know. If you guys follow on our second channel, then you see me all the time without the purple hoodie. But I figured that since we are discussing league business and whatnot, the varsity jacket is more sportsman-like and whatnot. So, we're going to be rocking the purple Indigo Plateau. I don't know if you can see it on the back or not. I don't know. The purple Indigo Plateau varsity Letterman, whatever you want to call it, here today, and for all future UCL Tucson Terrakions business, we'll be rocking this right here. So we still got the purple strong, but like I said, earlier today for 6 hours and yesterday for 6 hours, we were drafting mons for our teams, all of us being the 16 coaches involved in UCL. And today's video, I'm pretty much going to recap everything that we drafted the Tucson Terrakions, what my thought process behind it was, and where I intend to go from here on out. So if you guys are hyped for the upcoming UCL season, and of course if you're a proud member of the FB Nation or the Tucson Terrakions, make sure you smash the like button down below for us, because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. Now, the way the draft worked was each coach had the chance to draft 3 mons from each of the Smogon main tiers, being OU, UU, RU, and NU. So we have a total of 12 mons on our team throughout the season. And for the OU and UU rounds, I really didn't have much of a thought process going into it, because if you guys didn't know, I was actually the one that was behind the scenes running the entire stream. I was the one that had that was making all the layout changes and trying to keep up with everyone else and whatnot. So I didn't really have much of a chance to sit down and look at the tiers beforehand and try and make a team and synergize. I know PokeAim, Joey, and a couple other people sat down and really had a very well mapped out and detailed list of mons they wanted to go ahead and scoop up, and I didn't get the chance to do that, so I was really kind of just picking off the fly. So I really regret a couple of decisions I made for the OU and UU tiers, but what I did end up drafting first mon right off the bat was in fact Gengar. And I honestly, the main driving force behind me drafting Gengar was primarily because if I didn't, I would be crucified for it. You guys know how much I love Gengar. He is the mascot of our channel and whatnot, and plus he's been OU since Gen 1, so even without any sort of like stable plan of action or anything like that, just as a place to start, Gengar isn't bad. Because, like I said, he's been OU since Gen 1, he's a great Pokemon competitively and whatnot, so I have a lot of options, a lot of different avenues I can go with Gengar just starting off, especially building off the fly like that. So of course I did scoop up Gengar. I'm kind of relieved that nobody else scooped him up, but I do have Gengar on the team for the Tucson Terrakions, and Gengar has a lot of options. I mean, I feel like I really don't need to go into too much detail with it, because you could do Substitute Destiny Bond, you could do Choice Scarf Destiny Bond. That's a common set to take out threats and mons that have set up and whatnot. Just going all out offensive with him. You know, if you want to rock any number of sets or anything like that, you know, he's one of those 4 move syndrome mons where he has more moves than you can fit into a move set. So I think being very diverse throughout the season and definitely switching up his sets as we go, well, I think he's a huge wild card, which only plays into the mischievousness, I don't know if that's a word or not, that Gengar actually holds himself. So really, Gengar has really no real explanation or process behind why I picked him. You guys understand, he's my mascot. I love him so much. He's my favorite Pokemon, and he's amazing when it comes to battling. So I'm sure that we will get lots of work, and a lot of the teams will be built around Gengar as well. But then again, on the flip side, I might not include him in as many teams as people might think I am, because I think people are going to assume that we're just going to bring Gengar each time, because, oh, Nappy loves Gengar, there's no way he can resist that. Might have to trick some of you niggas out there. But either way, Gengar was our first pick to the Tucson Terrakions from the OU division. Our second mon that we actually scooped up on the team was in fact Gardevoir, and the reason I scooped up Gardevoir, again, like I said, because I was actually running the stream and doing a lot of multitasking and whatnot, I really just took quick glances at the tier in between everyone's picks and to see what was still around. And at that time I was still under the notion of like just building as I went along. And my thought process was, you know, I'm not super familiar with OU. I mean, I'm kind of familiar with it. I'm really familiar with UU. So my thought process was, I know that even if I don't scoop up a lot of hard hitters in OU or anything like that, because we were pretty, actually no, we had the wheel pick, well not the wheel pick, but we were on the plus side of the draw for Gardevoir. I just figured I wanted to pick up some hard hitters, some really good mons from OU, so that in turn when it came to UU, it would be easier to supplement that loss from OU there. So what I decided to do was we had Gengar first, and then I scooped up Gardevoir afterwards, because you guys know how much I love Hyper Beam Mega Gardevoir. It's just, when it comes to battling OU, Gardevoir is so monstrous, so monstrous, and surprisingly enough, has pretty good special bulk behind it as well. I think a lot of people, unless you're super duper familiar with Wi-Fi battling, which I guess in this situation there won't be a lot of people, but just looking at Gardevoir, she doesn't look like the mon that'll be especially bulky as she is. So Mega Gardevoir hitting as hard as it does with the Pixelate ability, Hyper Voice, Hyper Beam. You never know when that might make an appearance. You know, just things like that. And plus, on top of that, I really wanted to scoop up Fairy type because I know there are a lot of people out there going to scoop up Dragons, and it's just nice to have something that can just completely stop such an offensive typing in its tracks, just like that. It's always good to try and build a team with things that just negate weaknesses altogether. And that was one of the other notions that I had by scooping this up, because Jay, coach of the Carolina Keldios, a lot of people made remarks about him scooping up Sylveon first, which personally, I still would have scooped up Landorus. Landorus is the #1 most used Pokemon in OU, and to be honest, he's #1 most used for a reason. You know, he's really fucking good. But Jay, who had first pick OU, scooped up Sylveon instead, so to his credit, he does have that there. So I don't know, it's a strong hitting Psychic Fairy type. Especially with the Pixelate ability, it just hits really hard. The only downside is I wish Mega Gardevoir was a bit faster, but when it comes to the rules of the UCL, you don't actually have to use your Mega each week. So if I wanted to put Choice Scarf Gardevoir on and run that instead, and instead of getting that increase in power and on the other stats, I just took it all and put it into speed instead. You know, that's an option that I can go with too. So really it's just going to be based upon team building every single week, how I want to proceed with Gardevoir from there on out. But me knowing that I scooped up both Gengar and Gardevoir, I was confident with my special attackers. You know, I scooped up two very hard hitting special attacking Pokemon. So from there on out, I wanted to focus on a little bit more bulk and a little bit more of a physical presence. And unfortunately, by the time it came around for me, again afterwards, I was a little bit more towards the low end of the picks. So my last draft pick, what I ultimately ended up deciding to do, if you guys didn't know, we streamed the UCL draft using the Pokedex from Oris, so I'm just going to do the exact same thing now for this video, just for ease of access so you guys can see the mons as I'm talking about them. But what I ultimately ended up deciding to scoop up was the monstrous wall that is Chansey, which I'm actually really surprised that Chansey lasted as long as it did, because let me see if I can tell you guys exactly what order we went in for OU. Really, honestly, all of the rounds, each because we randomized it for each tier, I was 14th seed, we were 14th seed in OU, 15th in UU, 13th in RU, and 13th in NU. So each time we had a whole slew of people scoop up picks before us, then I had to wait until the very end to scoop up whatever was left over. So at that point, there wasn't a whole lot of serious OU mons left, and I figured, you know what, I have the special attackers with Gengar and Gardevoir, and then let me see what I can do by scooping up Chansey, because everyone knows Eevee Chansey is nothing to joke about. It's nothing to laugh about. It can sponge up hits for days and days, and it can deliver constant damage, 50 points of damage each turn with Seismic Toss. So even if you have a mon that wants to set up, as long as Chansey can sponge a hit from you, I'm dishing out 50 each turn. each and every turn. I'm dishing out 50 damage for sure. I can Thunder Wave you. I can run aromatherapy to heal the rest of my teammates. I can softball to make sure Chansey stays alive even longer. You know, Chansey, it's such a great utility mon. I know Joey and a couple other people were talking about using an offensive Chansey or something like that. So I might switch things up a little bit and see what we can do there. But just still, the regular classic Chansey set that everybody fears. Honestly, I don't think it's a terrible mon for us to have. The only regrets that I have about OU is I feel like I wish I would have scooped up a harder hitting physical mon. But like I said, at that point, I was just building as I went. And one of the things that I think a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people are having synergy and trying to pair up mons together and whatnot on their team. And one common thing that I noticed throughout the draft is people were constantly trying to scoop up mons to specifically counter another team's mon. And it's like, we only have 12 Pokemon, and it's like, did that person really just draft a mon that's so scary and so terrifying that it just completely destroys all 12 of your, or all 11 of your other Pokemon? Because the thought process I had going into the draft was, I want to build a team, or I want to scoop up 12 Pokemon that can pretty much, one way or another, cover each other's weaknesses. That's honestly the best mindset that I try to go in with. You know, aside from OU and Yu-Gi-Oh, where I was just trying to pick what was left over, but still, that's how I approached the RU and NU draft. I wanted to cover the weaknesses that I had, so that no matter what combination of mons I put together, I still had enough coverage to hold the team together. That's really the best way for me to describe it. So I wasn't really so much concerned about what I had to counter another person's team or what I had to do to another person's team. Really, I was more so concerned about covering my own team. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of hard to explain and describe, but if you get it, then you get it. If not, then maybe I'll come up with a better way to describe it. But for our final OU pick to the Tucson Terrakions, we did include Chansey. And like I said, I'm happy with it. It's a great wall to have on the team. I know a little while back when we were doing some OU Wi-Fi battles, Chansey was on a lot of teams, and Chansey just put in work. It just put in work, and I love it, I love it, I love it. So after the OU draft, we did drop down to UU, and to be 100% honest with you guys, UU was one of the most difficult things. It was one of the most difficult tiers for me to sit and watch be drafted, because you guys know how much I love UU. You know how much I'm invested in it, so I know I'm fully aware of all of the threats that are currently sitting around in UU, just sitting there. And it's just like, what do I choose? What do I choose? I don't know who I want to choose. Our first draft pick from UU was actually Rotom Heat, to be precise. And the reason I chose Rotom Heat is because Nexus scooped up Entei. I really wanted Entei because Banded Entei hits so hard, especially with base 100 speed. It can outspeed a lot of things unless they're rocking Choice Scarf or whatever. And a Banded Sacred Fire from Entei, Destruction. Banded E-Speed, Destruction, and then Patter scooped up Arcanine, which we saw coming from a mile away. So both of the Fire type, because I wanted a Fire type on my team, both of the Fire type E-Speeders from UU were gone. So at that point, I was sitting there thinking, oh, I can't get anybody with E-Speed from UU. Little did I know, there was another one, but I'll get to that in a second. I just put the notion of E-Speed out of my mind. I was like, okay, I want to scoop up a Fire type. What's another good Fire type in UU? And then there's the thought of Darmanitan, but I was like, but he's super duper frail. And then I was like, fuck yeah, Rotom Heat. There is a UU team that I have that is so good. You ever have someone explain something and you think they're gonna go like wild and now explain it, and they're just like, it's so freaking good. You're like, oh, that was underwhelming. But still, Rotom Heat is on the team, and all the Rotom forms are their highest stat, I'm pretty sure, is their defense, special defense. So having Chansey as a special wall that I already had, I was sitting there thinking, Electric Fire, it's a great typing that'll scoop up my first Electric Mon, as well as a Fire type that I've been looking for, and plus, that's just more bulk on my side. So I have 2 hard-hitting special attackers, and 2 mons that can sponge those special attack hits, being Rotom Heat and Chansey now. And on top of that, Rotom Heat is so diverse and versatile. You know, I can sit there and Volt Switch in and out if I need to. I can Overheat, and that's pure destruction. You can run Specs Overheat, Specs Volt Switch. Volt Switch is one of those moves that does damage to anyone every single time. It's insane. It's base 70, I think. Base 70 electric type move that allows you to switch out too. Only way they can make that more broken is if it had a chance to paralyze. Could you imagine if Volt Switch had a chance to paralyze? That's insane. But still, just the versatility that Rotom Heat brings with Overheat, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Discharge. What else can we scoop up? The Trick Set. I can trick a Choice Scarf or Choice Specs onto you, do whatever I need to do with it. It gets Pain Split as a reliable recovery. Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp. So even if I didn't draft any other additional physical walls, I can still cut physical attackers by Will-O-Wisping them, or I can Will-O-Wisp any mon that wants to set up, or a bulky mon as well, and slowly whittle down that health each and every turn. So just scooping up Rotom Heat, as an in-the-moment choice that I had as I was directing the stream and whatnot, I was very, very happy and confident with it, and I'm still glad. I don't regret choosing Rotom Heat. So Rotom Heat as our first UU pick, I'm actually really, really happy about. Now, the second pick, like I said, there was a huge list of mons from UU that I wanted to scoop up. And I kind of sort of, as it came to be my turn, I kind of sort of, I don't want to say I panicked, but I was sitting there thinking, I don't have anyone to set up rocks. I didn't get the Intimidate user as Landorus, and I was sitting there thinking, what could I possibly scoop up and place on the team that could fulfill both of those if need be? And what I ultimately decided to do was to scoop up. Oh, thanks for being super extra loud in the background, Mr. Man on your motorcycle. You're fucking awesome. Everyone knows how much of an asshole you are now. But anyways, I decided to go ahead and scoop up Crocodile here because I figured Crocodile, the Impish Intimidate set, you guys have seen us use that on the channel before. He's the Intimidation Pokemon. God damn. Impish Intimidate is always a great set, so not only did I get the Intimidator that I wanted, but I also got someone who can set up rocks too. He's a powerful ass ground type, so he can Earthquake anything and everything we need to. Earthquake is such a great move. TM26 is my favorite TM in the game. So just the fact that we scooped up a dark type Pokemon which handles the ghost and dark weaknesses that Gengar and Gardevoir had previously. Chansey handles that as well because Ghost isn't effective on it, but still, this is a way to sponge up the Ghost type hit, and then fire back with a Crunch or a Pursuit or a knockoff if need be or something. I figured with Stealth Rocks, Intimidate, dishing out as much damage as I can. There's so many different versatile sets I can run with Crocodile, so like I said, I wasn't really thinking about synergy or anything like that. I just thought in the sense of what do I have to counter threats to my other Pokemon. I wasn't really necessarily choosing based upon the threats that other people might have taken. I'm just thinking more of like an in general type of mindset. Does that make sense? I'm still trying to explain my thought process if you guys still don't get it. But Crocodile is the only mon that I have a little bit of regret about because when it comes to UU, I also had Empoleon on the table that I wanted to scoop up. I was really on the fence about getting Empoleon. Empoleon was about to be my first draft pick just like that because I know just like with Rotom, you can make it calm, it can sponge hits, especially because it being Water Steel, it's such a crazy unique typing. That would have been so nice to have on the team. And I'll tell you guys here in a second, I really ended up kicking myself in the ass over it afterwards. But Crocodile was my second UU pick. Going into the third and final UU pick, at that point, all the other mons that I traditionally want or traditionally run in UU have been scooped up, except for Goodra. And I just completely exited the Pokédex. What the hell's wrong with me? Except for Goodra. But at that point in the draft, with me already having Chansey and Rotom, I know I can run Rotom differently, but Rotom can be run special defensive as well. Do I really need another specially defensive monster in Goodra? And I thought about it and I was like, I guess I really don't. But unfortunately, at that point, all the other preferred Pokemon that I run in UU, like Kingdra, Darmanitan, Hydreigon, Dan scooped up Hydreigon, a couple other mons, Mienshao, I wanted to scoop up as well. That got picked up by Leo. There were all these other mons that I wanted to play, ended up getting scooped up already. So I was kind of sitting there like scratching my head like, what am I to do? Like, what can I put on my team from this point on? And one of the biggest things that a lot of people pointed out was that with Gengar and Chansey being on the team, I was really prone to knockoff. And even though I know that I have Crocodile on the team, I was just sitting there thinking, like, what could I possibly scoop up from UU specifically that can handle a knockoff and can counter it as well and be beneficial at the same time? And all of a sudden, at the last second, it hit me. And I was like, Lucario hadn't been scooped up. Lucario has Justified. So go ahead, spam knockoff all you want. He'll take the Justified. He'll take the hit number one, and Justified will raise his Justified raises attack. I can't remember off the top of my head. Justified will go ahead and activate, which is great. Which could end up being it could end up being bad in the long run because that might be easily predictable, but we'll see. We'll see how we want to end up playing Lucario. But we have Justify on him. He is a ridiculously strong heavy hitter. One Swords Dance up, and that's just pure destruction. And on top of that, he is the E-Speed user I've been looking for. Because like I said, Entei and Arcanine got scooped up, so I was kind of like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? But Entei and Arcanine got scooped up, so Lucario, it just fit perfectly. It was a hard physical hitter that I hadn't gotten before, because at that point, all I had was Crocodile, because I had Rotom H, which was special, Gengar and Gardevoir, which was special, and then Chansey's just there with Seismic Toss. But Lucario filled that void pretty fucking well. So I went ahead and scooped him up, and it was literally pins and needles all the way down the tier listing. Because again, like I told you guys, we ended up getting the lowest draft pick each and every time. You know, we ended up being drafted 15th out of 16th was our seat pick in UU, and that's nice because the first go around, you know, we get the 15th pick, and then second turn we get the second pick. So it was nice in that sense, but then we have to wait for everybody to pick twice again. So it was like 30 picks, and as it went down, PK was talking about he wanted a special attacker, and I'm like, don't pick Lucario, don't pick Lucario, don't pick Lucario. He picked Sceptile instead, and I was like, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. And it was just pins and needles all the way down until Lucario was announced, and I was just really, really happy that out of the bad picks, or out of the picks that I regret from UU, I didn't scoop up Darmanitan, Kingdra, any of my normal stuff. I was actually really, really happy we were able to scoop up Lucario, because Lucario can come in clutch at the end of the game. I'm telling you, Life Orb or Bandit E-Speed can be a lifesaver in certain situations. So I'm really, really happy that we have the Aura. I can feel your aura. The Aura Pokemon, Lucario, drafted to the team. He's very, very diverse in what he can and can't do, and plus, not only does he have physical priority with E-Speed, Bullet Punch as well, we do still have, if we want to run a special Lucario, we have Vacuum Wave as well. So, it'll be really interesting to see how Lucario ends up playing the field on our team. I feel like Lucario is kind of sort of like Gengar in the sense that he can really be molded to fit whatever we need on the team. So, I wasn't too upset with Lucario, but last night I was actually kicking myself because I regret scooping up Crocodile. And I feel like if I hadn't scooped up Crocodile, I wouldn't have scooped up Lucario. Because what I really wanted and what I really should have done is I should have scooped up Rotom Heat, Empoleon, and Chestnut. Because out of my prized UU team that I love so much, that's half of them right there. And when you think about the core of Chestnut and Empoleon, it's a really good core. I mean, every team has its weaknesses, but Chestnut is weak to, what? Poison, Flying, Fire, Ice, off the top of the head. Then there's Empoleon, who can sponge up all those hits for him. And what's Empoleon weak to? Electric, Fighting. You know, Chestnut can sponge up those hits as well with its crazy high physical defense. On top of that, you have Rocky Helmet, which you can run as well, and Spiky Shield, bulletproof, to go ahead and soak up all the Sludge Bomb and anything else that comes our way like that. It just, I started kicking myself because nobody drafted Chestnut. At the end of the day, nobody drafted Chestnut. Twit actually ended up drafting Empoleon because I convinced him. I was like, you should totally do it. Empoleon's a great mod. It's a good special wall. That was honestly one of the reasons I didn't do it, is because Empoleon traditionally is run as a special wall. And while it would have been nice on the team, I was like, well, I already have Rotom H, who might end up being a special wall, and I already have Chansey as well. Do I really want to pull up another mon that's bulky and slower like that to sponge up hits? So that's why I went with Lucario and Crocodile instead. So in retrospect, I'm not mad about the picks that we have for UU. It's just when it comes down to it, I really would have preferred that Chestnut and Empoleon core instead. So, I don't know, there will always be next season, and that might be a combo that I might look out for then. I just hope that in Season 2 of UCL, when we make it that far, I have better seat picks than 15th and 13th every single time. So either way, that wraps up our polls from UU, OU and UU respectively. And earlier today we went live over on Twitch with the RU and NU portion of the draft. And RU and NU pretty much, since half our teams have already been drafted, half our available Pokemons have already been drafted, it really came to the point now where with RU and NU, you're just trying to fill the void, fill the holes in your team, you know, plug up the patches that you have and whatnot. And one of the biggest things that I noticed, since I didn't have Empoleon, I didn't have a water type on my team. And when I sat down and looked at the 6 mons that I drafted, one of the biggest things that I noticed I needed a water type, a grass type, and a dragon type, because that would cover the weaknesses from mons that I already had. So one of the biggest things that I wanted to go ahead and scoop up was a water type. And when I was looking at RU, there were 2 that stood out to me a lot. There was Clawitzer and Gastrodon. Clawitzer I really wanted to scoop up because, let's be real, everyone knows Choice Specs Mega Launcher Clauncher tears holes through teams. Only downside to Clauncher is his defenses are mediocre. They're not anything amazing, but they're not terrible either. And then his speed is base 59. Like, outside of Gengar and Gardevoir already, the team itself wasn't all too fast. We have Chansey, who's not outspeeding anything. Rotom, who I think his speed's like 78 or something like that. Crocodile, who I think his speed's almost somewhere around there as well. Lucario is okay, but you know, a lot of mons can outspeed him. So the team itself wasn't all too terribly fast, and I guess it didn't really change my draft pick in the sense of that. But what ultimately ended up making me change my draft pick from Clawitzer to Gastrodon was the fact that Gastrodon only has one weakness, being grass. Gastrodon is bulky as shit, and it serves the use of another physical wall that I would need on the team, because like I said, we already have Chansey and Rotom and other monsters to sponge up special hits. Well, here we have Gastrodon, who can sponge up physical hits as well. So our first physical wall was drafted onto the team being Cindy the Gastrodon. Cindy will actually be pink. We won't have a male Gastrodon because Cindy is a female, and she's a lady. She's a lady! So Cindy, I love Gastrodon. Gastrodon is so amazing. Gastrodon can take a hit, can nicely take a hit from a Darmanitan if need be. I couldn't scoop up a Swampert either, so it was nice that we had another water ground type. And I didn't want to leave it all up to just Quagsire by himself. So I'm happy that we have Cindy here, because Cindy is another mon that can learn Ice Beam, number 1. Cindy can also have Toxic to help stall out other walls that might be there. We have Recover as well, and Scald for a chance to burn. So just all around, Gastrodon, in my opinion, I think was a great way to start the day off with picks, and I'm really happy that nobody scooped it up at all. So it'll be interesting to see how Gastrodon fits in on the team, especially as the physical wall it is. It'll be nice to see what we can do with it. And like I said, it only has one weakness, being grass, which can easily be sponged up by Rotom and Chansey on their own. Gengar, if need be. If need be, now that Gengar is the bulkiest thing out there, but the only thing it's weak to, I already had coverage for on the team, so I was like, Gastrodon, you fit in perfect. And if I had the chance, I might scoop up Clawitzer, but unfortunately, Christian, Faint Attacks, coach of the Manchester Magnezones, ended up scooping up Clawitzer instead, which sucked, but Clawitzer wasn't my first pick to begin with. Gastrodon was here, so I'm happy that we actually ended up scooping that up. So when it came to our second RU pick, I was sitting there twiddling my thumbs because I had a list of mons, about like 10 mons or so, that I wanted to scoop up from RU, and I was slowly crossing them off, thinking about what I needed, and what I really wanted was a dragon type for the team. And the reason I want a dragon type for the team is because 9 times out of 10 dragon types hit hard as shit, especially with Outrage. A banded Outrage from a stab banded Outrage from a stage 2 Dragonite, a stage 2 dragon type Pokemon is destruction to anything and everything but a fairy type, and maybe a steel type. But what I ultimately ended up deciding to go with from RU is a dragon type that's not exactly the strongest in existence, but I feel like we have some potential to mold it into what we need for on the team. And I went ahead and scooped up Flygon. Like I said, I wanted a dragon type. I didn't necessarily want to draft 2 ground types in a row, especially considering that we already had Crocodile. You know, I didn't want too many ground types on the team, even though everything but Ice Dragon takes care of anyways. But still, I'm actually really happy that we have at least one dragon type on the team, just for the use of diversity, because Flygon itself can be physical or special. I'm pretty sure its physical stat is a bit higher than special, but still, if you want to run Draco Meteor Flygon, if you want to run Fire Blast Flygon, Earth Power Flygon, things like that, Flygon is there. It can help out. It can do what it needs to do. At the same time, it's base 100, so we outspeed a lot of things on their own. Excluding Choice Scarfers, of course, and monsters have naturally higher speed stats. No shit. But still, base 100 is not anything to laugh at. So what this could allow me to do is to slap a band on it if I want to. I can run a Jolly Flygon, slap a band on it, and just rock out with Earthquake. or Outrage if need be. I know Flygon can get Fire Punch and things like that as well to handle anybody that wants to counter things like that. So I'm actually not upset at all that we have Flygon on our team, and it gets U-turn. So it's a nice lead mon, especially like I said, it's base 100. We can U-turn out if we need to, and on top of that, if I really wanted to, I could Scarf it just so I can outspeed those bonds that are a few points higher than I am, or other choice Scarfers that want to try and outspeed by base 100. So Flygon, I just looked at it and I thought it fills the hole as a dragon type, which will end up covering weaknesses of other mons that I have. And on top of that, it's so diverse and versatile in what it can do. It doesn't hit as hard as some other dragon types maybe. I know Garchomp outclasses it and whatnot, but still, having Flygon I didn't think was a terrible choice to have. And I went ahead and scooped it up and added it to the team. For our final RU pick, like I said before, seeing as we got such low seats on the draft, by the time we got back around to us, there really wasn't much left at all to work with. So we ended up drafting Qwilfish. And the reason for that is, you know, again, I like to show you, we were 13th here. So in the snake style format, see I wrote down everyone's names and whatnot. In the snake style format, first picks, we're down here 13th, and then it would turn around and go the opposite direction. So that means that in the second round, we would actually be 4th to pick, as opposed to being 13th to pick in the first round. So then we have to wait for like 23 other people to choose their mons, and by the time it got back around to us in the third round, for RU, there really wasn't much else for us to pick. There was literally like half a dozen mons left in RU. RU's not that big of a tier. And I originally wanted to scoop with Typhlosion. I thought Typhlosion would be a great addition to the team because we have Rotom Heat, who is a fire type for us, but he's not super duper fast. Then we have Typhlosion, who is a fire type, who's kind of frail, but at the same time you can choice specs it, super fast. It's got a wide range of moves. I could use Eruption. You could just rock out with Flamethrower if you wanted to, or Fire Blast. There's Extra Sensory, Focus Blast. You know, there's a whole bunch of different options of things that we can use Typhlosion for, so I thought he would fit well on the team, but nope! Luke scooped him up. So I was out of Typhlosion. Then I was thinking maybe Tyrantrum. Tyrantrum is great. It hits like a fucking truck. Hits so hard. People were calling it a wall breaker and whatnot, and then David scooped it up. So after Tyrantrum was gone, David of the South Beach Slow King scooped up. After Tyrantrum was gone, I was really sitting there just scratching my head, twiddling my thumbs, thinking, what the hell can I possibly put on my team? What am I supposed to do? And ultimately, I ended up side chatting David, and I asked him, I said, David, are there any other mons left that you want? Because David already said he didn't want Tyrantrum. He had no interest in any of the mons that were left. He just chose Tyrantrum because it was the best of a bad situation. So I said, are there any other mons that you could possibly want? Let me know, I will draft it for you. And he said he wouldn't mind having a poison type on his team, being Qwilfish. So I drafted Qwilfish with the intent of us trading it to David either in the second or third week for his Tyrantrum. So, not that I'm trying to knock Qwilfish, because even if David changes his mind, he doesn't want us to, doesn't want Qwilfish. I know Qwilfish can be power in certain situations. I know it gets access to Aqua Jet and things like that. So, if we need to end up making Qwilfish work, we can. But it was more of a tactical, strategic draft pick in the sense of me wanting to draft it as trade fodder for Tyrantrum. Now, when it comes to Tyrantrum, I'm interested in adding him to the team because, like I said, he hits like a truck. He's a great wall breaker. A banded head smash, even without the band on it, it still does crazy amount of damage. And plus, it helps me counter flying types. Not that I necessarily need a counter to flying types with Rotom Heat sitting there on the field or anything like that, but still, it's nice to have that there. I know PK drafted Talonflame, and was it Patters? Patters drafted Staraptor. Staraptor can get close combat though, so it might be careful about that. But still, having Tyrantrum there, it can completely shut down some other mons. And if you catch somebody with the right prediction or the right switch in, Tyrantrum can punch a hole through someone's team. You know, he's not the fastest mon out there, but his attack and defense are sky high, so he can eat up a physical hit. I can turn around and hit you back just as hard, if not harder. So I'm really looking forward to scooping up Tyrantrum for the team. But if not, we'll have to figure out a way to work this little balloon fish here into the team and see what we can do with that. So moving on to our final 3 draft picks. Now that RU is done, NU is up next. And when it comes to NU is literally the first aid kit. It is literally the band-aid. Because there's like 400 plus mons in NU that you can go ahead and draft, or that you have the chance to draft from on your team. But everybody knows my love for Weezing, and I knew that if I didn't get the #1 draft pick, the #1 seed, I wasn't getting Weezing. And of course, with my luck being what it is, when it came time to randomize, I got 13th. Yay. 13th, so I knew PK loves Weezing. PK's obviously going to scoop up Weezing. A few other people are going to scoop up Weezing as well. But luckily, who went first? Who went first in NU? Patters went first in NU and scooped up Lilligant. Nips went second and scooped up Frogadier. Frogadier's great. But then Luke, our good friend Game Boy Luke, went third. And I told Luke, I said, because PK was fourth, I told Luke, I said, Luke, you have to draft Weezing. And Luke was like, he wanted Tangela so bad. He's like, I have to have Tangela on the team. I have to have Tangela on the team because he didn't get a chance to get Tank growth. And Luke absolutely loves and adores Tangela, which is respectable. Even like Tangela is a monster. It can run all the same stuff that Tank growth does. It has Regenerator as well. The only difference is you have to watch out for knockoff with Tangela as opposed to Tank growth. So Tangela, even if any sort of deal with Luke didn't go through, Tangela still provided me with the grass type, which, like I said before, I needed water, grass, and dragon. It still provided me with the grass type that I needed for the team, and on top of that, it's bulky as shit. So even if Luke doesn't want to come through the deal, Tangela would be great to have on the team. So I hit him up and I said, you have to draft Weezing. You can't let PK just have Weezing like that. Like, no. If I can't have Weezing, PK can't have Weezing, goddamn. So luckily enough, I was able to strike a deal with Luke literally at the last second. I said, Luke, listen, you draft Weezing, I will draft Tangela for you if no one else drafts it. And at the last second, Luke changed his mind and was like, okay, let's do it. So Luke drafted Weezing because he went third, and when it was my turn, I said it to everyone. I said, this is a strategic maneuver. I want to draft Tangela in hopes that Luke is willing to trade for it. So probably week 2, because you can't trade week 1. Those are the rules. Those are part of the trade rules of the draft. So probably week 2, you'll see the Tucson Terrakions and the Bristol City Blazekins making a sweet trade, Tangela for Weezing, which is honestly amazing for me because having a core of Weezing and Chansey is absolutely delicious. Those nasty sludgy eggs, I love them. Because you think about it, what's Chansey weak to? Fighting. Weezing himself is a poison type which resists fighting, and if you want to try and hit me with a close combat or anything else like that, I'm just going to soak that up with base 120 defense off of Weezing. Weezing is an absolutely spectacular Pokemon. He's down in NU because of Psychic types, but still, he's absolutely amazing. I love Weezing. Weezing, I don't even have to explain. He's like Gengar. I don't even have to explain. You already know why I love Weezing. He's a fucking monstrous physical wall. He can hit back, Sludge Bomb, chance to poison, Toxic if you want. We have Pain Split as recovery. You can rock out with Thunderbolt or Flamethrower. Flamethrower for those pesky steel types. It's just, Weezing himself is just great. Only downside to him is he's a little bit slow, which is a given. His special defense is booty, but you want to try and hit Weezing with a special attack? Oh wait, here's Chansey to soak up that special attack. So that was what my thought process was. We have Chansey, Weezing. It's a great core for a team. I can build off of that. Probably won't use the same core every single week because then it'll become predictable. But still, having those two options there, it's just too good to pass up. I really wanted that to happen. So like I said, keep your eyes out. Week 2 will most likely be a trade between the Bristol City Blazekins and the Tucson Terrakions. That was such a strategic move and plan made. And some people say that it's not worth it. The trade's not worth it because Tangela's not as good as Weezing is. But at the same time, like I said, even like Tangela is monstrous. Do not sleep on it. Do not sleep on it. It's a grass type with Regenerator. So it has all crazy types of recovery. So honestly, don't sleep on it. Don't think it's not the world's greatest trade because it honestly is. It benefits both of us. Like I said, Luke loves Tangela. If there's anyone that knows how to run a Tangela competitively, it would be him. So we have Tangela / Weezing as our first NU pick. Our second NU pick, I wanted to go ahead, again, I wanted to grab another physical wall for the team because I couldn't scoop up Tangrowth from RU. Tangrowth was on my list of picks because, like I said, originally I wanted Water, Grass, Dragon. So my first picks in RU were Gastrodon, Tangrowth, Flygon. Tangrowth got scooped up by Dan, the St. Louis Rampardos A-Drive. So that's why I said, in retrospect, even if Luke changes his mind and he doesn't want to make the trade, Tangela still ends up working on our team. But then I thought I wouldn't mind having another physical wall there, or a mon that I could just build into whatever I wanted it to be. And I was sitting there shaking the entire time because I was like, I already know somebody's gonna draft this, but no one ever did. And luckily enough for me, because we were in the 13th slot and went down past us, and we were like the 4th one to select in the second round, I drafted. Oh, I didn't even pull him up here on the Pokedex for you guys. Let me pull him up. 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 I went ahead and drafted our own little dickhead himself, quite literally, Cradilly. Now, I've been on the receiving end of Cradilly's punishment one too many times. We have different. What does it change? Between male and female. Oh, I was about to say, why does it give me the option to change? I've been on the receiving end of Cradilly's bullshit one too many times, so I know that Cradilly is incredibly good when it comes to Wi-Fi battling. It's kind of like Weezing in the sense that it performs exceedingly well in its tier, and in the right situation, it can actually help out in higher tier battles as well. So I wasn't too upset with the fact that we drafted Cradilly, because like I said, I needed someone that can sponge a grass type hit, and he was there as well to go ahead and take that up. And I needed a grass type period. You know, I wanted someone that could fulfill that purpose on the team, and Cradilly was there. So as a wall and as somebody that just never dies, because literally Cradilly doesn't die. It has too many ways of recovery. It has too much natural bulk on its own. I was happy with it. I was like, yes, we have Cradilly. That was one of my top NU picks that I wanted on the team. So technically we have Weezing and Cradilly. We are sitting so nice, so pretty right now. I'm so much more happy and confident with my picks from today's portion of the draft than I was yesterday. I wasn't kicking myself in the ass over it at all. And Joey Pokeyam again, who was commentating that draft pick, he was pointing out that Cradilly gets a lot of special moves as well, like Ancient Power. Of course, there's like Giga Drain and stuff like that. So Cradilly just by itself, it's such a wall on the team. I'm really hoping and praying that I drafted a decent amount of special attackers, physical walls, and special walls in order for me to sponge up hits from anybody that I need to. So I was really happy with the Cradilly pick, and then I had to play the waiting game. I had to sit, and I had to wait, and wait, and wait, and again I was shaking in my boots thinking that somebody was going to draft our last pick. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was too good to be true, and I thought it was going to be Nexus, because Nexus loves, whatchamacallit, Nexus loves Talo, but Nexus did not actually draft Swellow. Swellow was our final draft pick. Give you male and female in the Pokedex. It's so. I'm not saying it's weird. It's just like, what's the major difference between male Swellow and female Swellow? Am I not seeing it? That's Surskit. Never mind. I don't know. I'm just being stupid. But Swellow I wanted to scoop up because we didn't have a flying type in the team just yet. We didn't have anybody to dish out that flying type damage, which we didn't necessarily exactly need because anybody that we could attack with a flying type move, we already had covered through another typing. You know, if it's a grass or bug, we have Rotom Heat with fire. If it was a fighting type, we have Gardevoir with psychic type right there. So we kind of sort of had that covered as well. But just looking at everything that was left in NU, I was sitting there thinking, what is something that could just hit hard no matter what? And what I really wanted was another fast Mon, because if you look at what we drafted already, we had Weezing, Cradilly, Gastrodon, Tyrantrum, or even if we get stuck with Quillfish and Tangela, they're all relatively slow. So aside from Gengar, Lucario, Flygon, you know, we were missing another fast Mon. So I was like, I want something else with a bit higher speed, something that has the potential to hit really hard. So I decided to go ahead and scoop up Swellow, because number one, Swellow gets Guts. Is it Guts? I'm getting Swellow mixed up with somebody else. Because people run Facade, Toxic Orb, Facade, Swellow. So I was sitting there thinking that would be great as well. On top of that, Swellow is super fast. Yeah, it is Guts. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. We have Guts. So with Toxic Orb, we have Guts, Facade as well. We have Quick Attack for priority if need be. If there is something that we can't outspeed, we can Quick Attack with it. Swellow is base 125 speed, so that is just that's great. That's great to add to the team. So I was really happy that nobody had touched Swellow up until that point. The only downside to Swellow is that it is super duper frail. Super frail. Super frail. So I'm really going to have to be strategic with Swellow and send it in when I need to either pick somebody off, or if I get the chance to actually get the toxic boost up, I can dish out a shit ton of damage with Facade, and if we need to sack off Swellow, we can. But really, it's just there to be the glass cannon that it is, because there isn't like a shit ton of different sets that we can run with it. You know, its attack is only 85, so the Guts Facade, the Toxic Orb Guts is going to have to be a thing. Its special attack's only 50. I made a joke on the stream saying that I was going to run Boom Burst. You know, I'm going to be that guy. But in all honesty, we're not going to run Boom Burst on him. So outside of Facade, Brave Bird combination with Quick Attack as well, you know, it's Swellow is just painfully obvious. You know, it's low tier for a reason. But I thought as a last minute Mon to scoop up, Swellow wasn't bad at all. Especially to fill that last slot of a quick physical attacker. So we have Mons like Lucario, Flygon, and Swellow, who are relatively quick moving physical attackers, with Flygon and Lucario both being able to be special as well. And then we have Gengar, Gardevoir, and our other walls being Rotom and Weezing, who are special attackers. And if you wanted to, you can Scarf Rotom, Trick Rotom if I want to, and just trick with the Scarf whenever I need to. So Scarfing Rotom Heat would give him a little bit more advantage over other Mons, and do what I can with it. So either way, like I said, I was just a tiny bit upset about a few of the Mons that we scooped up on our team, and I regretted scooping them up. But I think that I'm going to remain optimistic, and we're going to do what we can throughout this season of UCL. I'm really happy, really excited that all of us were able to come together because you guys don't understand, like, to have 16 content creators all come together and make room and time on their schedule, that almost never happens. So I'm actually really happy that all of us can come together to put on something like this for you guys. I'm proud to be your coach of the Tucson Terrakions, of course. As you can see, we have Terrakion on the screen. Sadly enough, Terrakion wasn't drafted by anybody. I actually did heavily weigh my options of drafting Terrakion, but I ended up not letting it happen because, like I said, I wanted to go with Chansey as well. So I think our team is very different, to say the least, but I think it has a lot of potential. And it'll be interesting to see how we can work with it going here throughout the rest of the season. Our first battle for the UCL is against the Tulsa Talonflames, coached by Cuddle of Death. Her team is relatively scary. She has Heatran and Ferrothorn at the same damn time. So her team's relatively scary, but like I said, our first battle, our week 1 battle, is against her, and that'll go up on the 25th, next Saturday. It'll go up next week. So wish us the best of luck. If you guys need any additional news or updates regarding the UCL, make sure you go and follow the UCL on Twitter. It's twitter.com/UCLofficial. Please, you guys don't understand, like, there aren't going to be a shit ton of updates from each individual coach about the entirety of it all. They're going to update you about their own teams and whatnot, but to have updates about everything that's going on in the UCL official Twitter is the place to be. But with that, let us know what you guys think of the draft picks for the Tucson Terrakions, and let us know what you think going on here on out is. If there's any team building or set suggestions that you have, leave those in the comment section below as well. But with that, I will see you guys week 1 for our first match. I am so excited, and I hope you are too. You know me, it's an Apple 92.